Greetings, everyone. I just wanted to kind of touch base on this week 6 assignment and what your check-in A and B is going to look like in week 2 and week 4. Now, week 2, you don't have to worry. I'm not expecting a lot of work to be done by the end of this week. What I'd like your group to do is to be able to just flesh out a rough outline, and I think that would be sufficient. I just need to know that you're headed in the right direction and that you're all contributing and kind of putting these ideas together to kind of have an initial outline. Now, in week 6, what you're going to be doing is a narrated presentation. Most people use PowerPoint. You can even upload it into YouTube if you'd like. And you create actually a self-designed workforce inclusion model. Now, the reason we let you self-design is we used to have a case study, but the case study was old and students felt like it didn't give them any flexibility to create and design themselves. And so what you're going to be doing is you're going to construct your own local inclusive workforce model. And that's what you're going to create to be shared with your leadership in your organization, either for-profit or nonprofit, that you could implement in the workplace and put into practice in the business world. So think of this as a presentation to your leadership. Ultimately, your group creates the model, and you absolutely should synthesize all of the learning in this course, use all of the resources you've been exposed to, and consider a strategic theory. Consider a leadership theory, and bringing in a leadership theory that connects to this model. That's kind of the foundation of your model. But you drive what it looks like. I'm going to give you 2 examples of a final project. Now, again, in week 2, I'm looking for a rough outline. By week 4, you should have subtasks, you should have detail, you should have a lot of depth and breadth in week 4 in a Word document. Now, by week 5 and 6, then you're, of course, taking it up into PowerPoint or Prezi, and you're doing a formal narrated PowerPoint. Now, this group chose to focus on the history in terms of diversity. They chose to focus their topics on discussing culturally diverse teams and what role cultural awareness and cultural diversity and intelligence can play in building a culturally diverse work team. They also kind of connected it to how it creates an intentionality around cultural inclusion for competitive advantage and what competitive advantage means to the business, why diversity matters, and how to embrace it. I had a second group, that took a completely different approach. And again, this is yours, this is what you create. They took kind of a spin-off of the 3M model. It was an overview of 3M, what 3M's inclusion workforce model was like. The only thing that I would say was not necessarily where we were headed with this particular presentation is that we don't want you to mimic or copy an existing model. We want you to actually use one that does not exist anymore, but does not exist at all right now. But visuals were incredibly great. A lot of connection between visuals. The other individuals took a much more academic approach. They don't have any visuals, but they have outlined, like I said earlier here, kind of everything that they thought the model should include. I have had other groups who have literally drawn out models, so they've actually built their own kind of hierarchical model for inclusion. And so I want you to be as creative as your group wants to be, so that you bring each of your own experiences to this model and you create it from all of your experiences, good, bad, or indifferent. So again, week 2 is just simply a rough draft, an outline. I need to make sure that you're getting started, your group's working together well, and you're headed in the right direction. By week 4, you're going to have all the guts of it, and by 5 and 6, you're going to put it up into the narrated PowerPoint. So please feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all.